Oren will briefly share greetings before he races back to Knesset to comment on President Trump's historical announcement today.
Thank you. This is just like Knesset. I walk in, everyone stands up. Right. Make you feel at home. חברים, הבנים, פעילים, חב"ד, כל רחבי העולם, בכל מכובדיי, all of our dear friends, Chabad from around the world. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
A few minutes ago, we had the zchut, the privilege of living to see this day. It is a moment which the state of Israel and our people here have waited for 70 years. It is a moment that our people in many ways have waited for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
To think that we have the zchut to be alive at this moment where the greatest democracy, the most powerful military force in the world, the United States of America, our ultimate ally, has recognized as the capital of the independent, proud, and sovereign Jewish state, the city of Israel. Our eternal and undivided capital, not only for the last 70 years, but for the last 3,000 years. To think that we have lived and have the zchut to see this day, to see this moment. I think we all have to be profoundly, deeply, ecstatically grateful. Todah. And I am grateful to be with you tonight on Yud Tet B'Kislev, a very special day for all of us here, including for myself. It is a day that we celebrate and mark the liberation of Rabbi Shneur Zalman, who founded Chabad, the acronym for Chokhmah, Binah, Vedat, well over 200 years ago. And look at the flower that the great rabbi planted, and affected every one of their lives, including my life. So here's how it affected my life. I grew up in a Jewish home in northern New Jersey. Now everyone claps, right? In northern New Jersey, and my family, they cared about Israel, they cared about Jewish things, but in a very abstract way. No kashrut, no Shabbat, no chagim, no Jewish learning, and I would be very hard-pressed to tell you that anybody in my family knew what the Talmud was, or much less ever seen a page of it, and certainly not of the Gemara. And I grew up and I had a bar mitzvah, but at my bar mitzvah I read in transliteration, in English letters, Baruch Shatov, like that.
So did some of us.
So you know what that feels like, right? And then at 15 I had a sort of a spiritual awakening, or at least awakening to the great vacuum or the vacuousness of my spirituality, that I didn't have spirituality. And I went on a bit of a search, and my search took me through various streams of Judaism, took me all sorts of places. And then finally I found a man. I found an extraordinary man. His name was Rabbi Shalom Gordon, Alav Shalom, who had a shalom not far from where I grew up, Maplewood, New Jersey. He had worked with my father. My father was the director of a Jewish hospital. He was the Rav at the hospital. And I went to him and I said, teach me. Teach me. He said, what do you know? I said, I know nothing. He says, okay. And every week, twice a week, we would sit and we did Daf Yomi, and I learned to read. And he taught me. He taught me about the beauties of our legacy, the great treasures of our heritage, and above all, he taught me how to pursue my faith. He gave me a language for faith. And that's not to be taken for granted. Now, as an Israeli politician, I can't talk about faith. You know that Israeli politicians can't talk about faith? You talk about mitzvot, you can't talk about faith. If you're in America, we just listen to, the president talk about his faith, we talk about Mike Pence, the vice president, talk all the time about his faith. If you don't talk about your faith in America, you're out. If you talk about your faith here, you're out. But, sometimes I get tired with the rules, so I got to tell you that if it weren't for the faith, I don't think we would be sitting here tonight. I don't think we'd have the zchut to witness this moment, and I know that I couldn't do the things that I've done in my life without that. Without a deep sense of shlichut and a deep appreciation for Netzach Yisrael. That's what it's about. It's about Netzach. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that event that occurred, well, over 250 years ago, when Rabbi Zalman escaped from prison, or got out of prison, and was able to establish Chabad. I think it has made such an extraordinary difference in our lives and lives around the world. I've had other zchuyot in my life to teach in American universities, leading American universities, and every one, it was the Chabad house, sometimes more than one Chabad house, and extraordinary, just wonderful Rabbanim and Rebbetziniot, who would just embrace everybody, embrace. Just a little interesting story. In the 1 year between the time I came back from Washington and the time I went into politics, I was the representative of Israel on the Birthright Board. And Birthright was at the time going through also challenges, and we looked at different models. And the most successful model we found for engaging Jewish youth around the world was Chabad. Nothing to So I can speak here now in an official capacity in the name of the government and state and people of Israel. תודה רבה לכם. מזל טוב, כל הכבוד, תעשו חי, תמשיכו לעשות חי, למען מדינת ישראל, למען העם היהודי. תודה מקרב לב.
Thank you, Mr. Oren, a true friend of Chabad of Central Jerusalem, a friend of Friendship Circle, and with this we present Mr. Oren with a piece of artwork which was lovingly created by one of the members of Friendship Circle Jerusalem. I call upon my son Menachem Mendel, who is a member of Friendship Circle Jerusalem, to present Mr. Oren with the gift.
Pick it up so we can see it. We can't see it.
Thank you, Friendship Circle. I will be remiss if I don't say thank you publicly to Rabbis Zarki, Shmuley Heck, and Rabbi Shem Tov in Washington.
One big family. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Oren. It's a big honor. I want to thank you very, very much for coming tonight and making a Kiddush Hashem as you do throughout everywhere you go. Just for before we continue with the program, I just want to mention one simple thing that is connected to what Mr. Oren said and what happened tonight and what the Alter Rebbe wrote when he came out of prison. When he came out of prison, he wrote a letter. He wrote 2 letters to famous disciples. One of them was Rav Levi Yitzchak Barditchev. And he wrote in that Igeres, in that letter, I'm quoting, it's not exactly word by word, but he wrote, Hifli vehigdil Hashem la'asos le'einei ho'amim. God had created an opportunity, a miracle for the nations to understand and to realize the virtue of Israel. That's what he wrote about him being redeemed and released from prison, spreading of the Hasidic teachings. Tonight, we heard from the first source, and everybody here are able to see it. There has been a declaration, an announcement, which shows that the nations have approved and realized the Kiddush Hashem, the real reason why we're here, and that's what we're celebrating. We know the truth all the time. But the fact that the Goyim, the nations, are able to realize this is what is so special. So we're going to continue with tonight's program. Call upon